For anybody who ever saw Candy Givens perform with Zephyr in 1969 or over the years when they released albums on ABC, Warner Brothers, Red Sneakers, BGO, and One Way Casablanca Records, they never forgot the vocal power and sheer energy of her presence. Animal Planet veterinarian, comedian, and former bodyguard for the Rolling Stones, Dr. Kevin Fitzgerald said she was simply a force of nature. Whether Zephyr was opening for Jimi Hendrix at the legendary Denver Pop Festival, playing Mammoth Gardens, or tearing the roof off the Fillmore West with Jeff Beck, Zephyr was the band to see in that incredible era. Candy Ramey was born in 1946 into a family that's been described as a group of gamblers and small-time outlaws. Candy's love of music and her powerful voice got her voted the most likely to become a famous singer in her senior year at Golden High School. After high school, she attended the University of Northern Colorado, intending to become a teacher. But music was her focus, and she and her high school buddy, Doug Luban, hitchhiked to California where Doug looked for jobs as a bass player. He later became the bass player for the first two Doors albums. After a year on the coast, Candy moved to Aspen, where she and Doug Whitney played in the Piltdown Philharmonic Jug Band. In Aspen, she met David Givens, a songwriter, guitar and bass player, and they moved to Boulder with his band Brown Sugar. David and Candy were married in October of 1968. Brown Sugar played shows around Denver and was the cornerstone of what would become Zephyr. Between 1969 and 1970, Boulder, Colorado was a gathering place for an incredibly diverse music scene. Zephyr grew out of a monumental jam session with guitar wizard Tommy Bolin at the Buff Room on the Hill. Candy and David joined keyboard and flautist John Ferris and Tommy Bolin and their band Ethereal Zephyr, adding Robbie Chamberlain on drums, and started writing originals and arranging music drawing from their collective experiences playing pop, blues, jazz, country, and folk music. They burst into the Colorado music scene with several explosive shows, starting at the Sink in Boulder, and then onto CU's Glenn Miller Ballroom, opening for John Mayall, and performances at Mackey Auditorium with Tim Leary. There were shows at Reed's Ranch with the Grateful Dead, free concerts at the Boulder Band Shell, short tours to Phoenix, where they worked with musicians like Steve Miller, Vanilla Fudge, and David Lindley's band Kaleidoscope. In Los Angeles, they played venues like the Avalon Ballroom, the Whiskey A Go-Go, and the Boston Tea Party. Everywhere they went, their no-holds-barred shows earned them new fans, and by the time they played the Denver Pop Festival, they co-headlined two separate memorable evenings, one with Jimi Hendrix. Zephyr's self-titled debut album was released on ABC Probe, a division of ABC Records, in February 1970. With Candy's stage presence, songwriting, vocals and harp, Bolin's soaring guitar solos, and the power of the Zephyr rhythm section, the band made a name for themselves with their unique blues, jazz, rock sound. The stage was set for Zephyr and Candy to become the logical heir to Janis Joplin, Grace Slick, and a small dynasty of powerful women-fronted bands of the late 1960s. But logic and destiny rarely unfold in a way that confirms inevitability. Their second album was recorded for Warner Brothers with famed producer-engineer Eddie Kramer in New York at Electric Lady Studios with Bobby Berg on drums. Sadly, Jimi Hendrix died the day before he was to return to New York to complete his legendary album Cry of Love. The Zephyr project was finished during the chaos of the months following Jimmy's death. Going Back to Colorado came out in 1971 on Warner Brothers Records. It was favorably reviewed in Rolling Stone magazine by famed critic Lester Bangs, but despite fantastic live shows, their album sales were not what the record company wanted. Combined with mismanagement back at home, Zephyr did not receive the commercial success that fans thought they deserved. According to David Givens, Warner Brothers released Tommy and Bobby, and so they quit the band. Barry Fay then decided to turn his attention to focus entirely on promoting and managing Tommy Bolin. David and Candy formed a new band and recorded Sunset Ride. It may be the album most remembered by their fans. Candy's songwriting, vocals, and harp playing were at their apex. They produced one more album in 1982, Heartbeat, with Eddie Turner and Ken. Zephyr disbanded shortly after, and all the players went on to successful careers with other projects. Candy and David were planning to produce a blues album when she passed away in Boulder of a drug-related accidental drowning on January 27, 1984. In 2014, Greg Hampton and David Gibbons remastered and repackaged their first album, Bathtub Album, on Purple Pyramid Records, and then gave the same treatment to Going Back to Colorado, and added previously unreleased live and studio recordings in a box set titled Leaving Colorado for Sunset Boulevard Records, both still available. David is currently remixing Sunset Ride and Heartbeat from the original multi-track recordings for release in 2019. And there are still several albums worth of unreleased studio recordings that Gibbons intends to release in the future. In recognition of the band as one of Colorado's most incredible female-fronted groups, the Colorado Music Hall of Fame, presented by Comfort Dental, is proud to induct Candy, Ramey Gibbons, and Zephyr as part of the Going Back to Colorado class of 2019.